Hello. It's been a very rough morning, and I'll go into it in a little bit. So, welcome to Yamhill County, the land of ghost stories and legends and hauntings, apparently, based on my reads. We're at South Yamhill Cemetery, located in McMinnville, Oregon, Yamhill County. Alternative names of the cemetery include McCabe Church, and South Yamhill Baptist Church. So let's go meet some of the local residents and hear their story. So I'm just gonna say sorry right off the bat. I was driving out to the cemetery, and I was thinking, man, what a nice weekend day. It's all sunny, it's beautiful, the light traffic, and then I was coming up to a stoplight, and then up ahead I see a motorcycle spinning in circles on the road, parts flying everywhere. This girl on a motorcycle got drilled, just absolutely destroyed from the rear of her motorcycle, and then the car drives off, and got a good look at him though. But yeah, it was pretty intense. So I'm a little still shaky, I guess, for seeing that, and luckily a lot of us stopped and helped her out and stuff. And let this be a lesson: carry a first aid kit in your car, which I do. I carry one in my truck, and I've never thought I'd have to use it until this morning. So, and then I arrive at the cemetery, and we're out in the country, and 2 minutes in, a car pulls up, and they're looking at me. So it's I just want to visit a cemetery and be left alone. So a little bit of the history about this cemetery. It was established in 1862. There's estimated to 500 burials per the Oregon Burial Site Guide. I think I read a website that said there was around 600 burials now, I believe, but Find a Grave has shown around 606 memorials added so far. It's kind of a small cemetery overall, but it's pretty well kept, and it's in good shape, whoever's taking care of it. In 1850, South Yamhill Baptist Church was erected at this site, I guess. I'm guessing that is originally located, or was called South Yamhill Baptist Church Cemetery. That's where that name comes from. And I think there's a marker up front, placed somewhere where the original church sat. And I was going to go videotape, but there's two sketchy individuals up there. So I think I'm going to wait till they leave. That's what you run into sometimes way out in the country. So it wouldn't be the first time. The Third Baptist Church west of the Rockies, organized apparently, established in 1846 is what they claim. This site is on the Henry Warren donation land claim. It's about 1.95 acres was dedicated in 1888 to it, with a half acre for parking. There is quite a bit of parking here, so if you come here, there's lots of cool symbolism here too, and pre-1800 birth date here as well. So there's some pretty older individuals here. Our first stop is Henry Warren, born in 1817 in Nova Scotia. What I found on him is that he left his home at a very early age and ended up in Buffalo. He lived in Illinois and Missouri for a short time, where he married Nancy Palmer. He would come to Oregon in 1847, one of the earlier travels out here via Ox Team, and settled in Yamhill County in 1848. Unfortunately, it looks like Nancy would die in 1859 at the age of 30, leaving Henry with 5 children to raise. Looking up her death record, found that she contracted the measles, died of decayed foot and neuralgia. Neuralgia is described as a stabbing, burning, and often severe pain due to an irritated or a damaged nerve. At first, the ends of the toes become cold and turned black, and soon appeared dead in a sense. This continued until the foot came entirely off at the instep joint, apparently. So probably got an infection, I'm guessing, as well, and that didn't help her out. Back to Henry. He was a farmer before he would be selected as sheriff of Yamhill County for 7 years. 1860 federal census shows him as a sheriff as well. After that, he was selected to the lower house of the state legislature, and on top of that, he received a land office in Oregon City, where he served for 10 years. Then he was the mayor of McMinnville at one time, and would move it up to state senator. So this guy was pretty popular and successful in his career. He would remarry again in 1865 to a woman named Nellie Schrader. Couldn't find anything on her though. Find a Grave lists the wrong death, by the way, 1855. It's 1885, as you can see right here. Hopefully that shows up. It's one of those later headstones, but pretty important person in this cemetery. All right, so we have, here we have Henry P Webster, who was born in New Hampshire in 1829. A Civil War vet serving in Company D, Iowa of the 16th Infantry Regiment. Shows him as being discharged due to a disability. Unsure if he was wounded in battle or not. I couldn't find much on that. His regiment, they served in several engagements based on what I found, the source I found, but more importantly was the Battle of Shiloh, which was won by the Union Army. This was also the site of the death of Confederate Commander Albert Sidney Johnson. People saw Commander Johnson's death as the beginning of the end for the Confederacy, apparently. At this point, it was an unwinnable war for the Confederate side. I guess that's what everyone was believing when that Confederate commander went down. Okay, it took me a second to find Andrew Jackson Baker, who was born in Ashe County, North Carolina in 1822. You see on his headstone 1822, but one source states that he was born in North Carolina in 1820. Regardless, he would travel to Tennessee at the age of 10 or 12 in 1832, depending on the source. Stayed there for a short time and then went to Missouri for 12 years. Came to Oregon in 1843, obviously putting him in the very early pioneer classes of traveling out here on the Oregon Trail. He would settle in Yamhill, obviously. Went to California in 1846 to fight in the Mexican-American War. Did some reading about the lore of that war and came across the story of 16 teenagers on the Mexican Army side. In Mexico City in 1847, U.S. forces made their way to the fortress, home to the Mexican Army. American General Scott ordered an artillery bombardment, They would get access and use ladders to apparently storm the citadel. The Mexican forces started the retreat, but legend has it that the 6 teenage cadets stayed to fight knowing that they were going to die. One of the soldiers prevented the capture of the Mexican flag and wrapped it around himself and leapt off the fortress to his death. Today, you can visit the memorial of the 6 teenagers, and it is known as Ninos Heroes, or Hero Children. Andrew's occupation was listed as being a capitalist in 1900. Uneven terrain right here, so camera might be at an angle, but here we have John Brammer Kirby. Born in Kentucky in 1808, limited on the info other than that. The only thing I could really find on him was he was one of the earliest pioneer arrivals in Yamhill County, coming to Oregon in 1852. So far, the coolest location for a headstone has to be James Curry Cone. No wonder I couldn't find him. It's kind of hidden under this tree, turned the opposite way. But he was born in Ohio in 1834. Cone seems to be a popular name in this cemetery as well. I keep seeing it everywhere. He is a Civil War vet that served in the 121st Ohio Infantry, as you can see on his headstone, which is listed as in 16 engagements, I believe. I try to bring up a new big battle or a piece of Civil War history every time I find a Civil War vet, because it helps educate me, because I wasn't really familiar with the Civil War till I started doing this and finding out all these cool little things. So I did come across the defense of Cincinnati with the Ohio 121st. From what I read, a Confederate commander named Henry Heath was told to make a demonstration and threaten Cincinnati, which was the 6th largest city in the U.S. at the time. Cincy's mayor caught wind of it and basically shut down the city, like starting to prepare for a defense, if you will. He would also organize armed steamboats and citizens for the defense. One of the citizens groups was the Black Brigade of Cincinnati, which was a group of free African Americans organized in 1862. They were led by a man named William M. Dickinson, who favored enlisting black soldiers into the Union Army. He assumed command of that brigade, and the group was composed of 1,000 African Americans. They helped build up a fortification, including miles of military roads, breastworks, forts, and rifle pits. They even had their own flag, which I'll try to put a picture in the video. I think I came across it. And it was from remarkableohio.org website. And they say on there, they have like a little quote. They say, receiving deserved praise for their labor, the unit disbanded when the Confederate forces no longer imperiled the city. Members of the Cincinnati Black Brigade, first black unit with military purpose in the Civil War, later fought with the 127th Ohio Volunteer Infantry and other black regiments. All right, I came across a Civil War vet that I did not know was here, and this is Jonathan W. Barlett. So I'm just going to read his Find a Grave profile. He was born in 1840 in Merrimack County, I think that's how you say that, New Hampshire. And he is a Civil War vet, as mentioned. He served as a private with Company C of the 18th New Hampshire Infantry. We don't see New Hampshire that often, so it's kind of cool to find him here. Looks like he enlisted September 14th, 1864, and was discharged on June 10th, 1865. Looks like he died in 1921 at the age of 81. So, cool find here. Definitely one of the cooler headstones I've seen in a while. Belongs to Miriam Millie Thurston Cook. I think she's the oldest birth year here. I think it's 1796 for her. This guy Sherlock right here, Cook, which is a cool name, was born in 1789. Bit difficult to track down information, but it shows him marrying Miriam in 1815. Shows them living in Coldwater, Michigan in 1840. They had 10 kids together. Looking up Coldwater settlers, they laid claim to that area in about 1830, I want to say. The only bit of info I could find that was exciting about Coldwater is it's home to the second oldest theater house in Michigan, the Tibbetts Opera House, built in 1882. And still in operation. I talked to them and I kind of asked, hey, can I put your picture in my little video? And they were actually really cool. They were like, do you want a high definition one? I'm like, no, this picture will do well. So they were really nice. But Sherlock would die at the young age of 59 by today's standards in Batavia, Michigan. I think that's how you say that. Shows Miriam and her children coming to Oregon in 1852. And you can see she has a cool little saying on here. There is no death to those who think all right. And just a headstone over, we have James Wilson and Sarah Cook. James is the son of Miriam we just talked about. Sarah is James' wife. James was born in Syracuse, New York when Miriam and Sherlock were married. So I'm thinking that shows James' parents used to live in New York and then moved to Coldwater, Michigan in 1832. So remember, Coldwater wasn't settled until 1830. So they were part of the very early pioneers in Coldwater. But they would come to Oregon in 1852, migration. 1852, that year was known for a lot of deaths and a lot of diseases in my readings. Not just humans, but the cattle pulling them along suffered quite a bit. I read about something called hollow horn, which was documented along the trip. And I also found an agricultural document from 1909 that describes the imaginary disease. And they stressed imaginary disease quite a bit in this article. And I'll tell you why here. In the article, they say, in the first place, it should be noted that horns of animals of the ox tribe are hollow. The horn cores are elongations of the frontal bones of the skull, and the frontal sinuses, which are larger of the air spaces of the head, are prolonged into the horn cores. When a cow is sick, if the horns are hot, it is evidence of a fever. If they are cold, it indicates impaired circulation of the blood. The author goes on to say the usual treatment for supposed hollow horn, which consists of boring the horns with a gimlet and pouring turpentine in the openings thus made. Yikes. It's not only useless and cruel, but is liable to set up an acute inflammatory response and result in the abscess of the sinuses. So, that was a little terrible to read, sorry. So, from what I read, is actually just anthrax, which is natural in soil and water. So I imagine what happened was the cattle grazing along the way were exhausted during their travels maybe, and maybe it made them more susceptible to getting sick to anthrax. I'm not really sure, but fun fact, anthrax was among the first animal diseases for which a vaccine was developed. I read it was developed in 1881 by Louis Pasteur. Anywho, this cemetery overlooks the Diamond Farm, which were James and Sarah's homes back then, and I'll try to show that during the cemetery tour. Someone also noted on Finograve that James platted the cemetery and dedicated it. He planted the maple trees, which are still growing, this is from 1952, on the point of the hill just in front of the cemetery, close to where the South Yamhill Baptist Church stood before it was torn down. And yeah, I'll show you the entrance. Alright, I'm a complete failure. Found another Civil War vet I didn't know about. So we have Nelson Chapman here. Birth is unknown, and it looks like he is a Civil War vet. As you can see, you're probably getting familiar with those headstone styles by now if you watch my channel. Looks like he was in Company E of the 30th Indiana Infantry. Shows him dying in 1914 in Yamhill County. I wish I had more information, and apologies. I just didn't see him listed, or I might have just missed him. But another cool find. Took me a while, and there's 4 really nice headstones here. You can see a little bit to the right, and they're all that kind of nice white look, and they all have symbolism on them, so it's really cool to see. Here we have Mary Brock Davis, another early birth year of 1806, born in Virginia. She does have something written on her headstone that's pretty epic, and I'm going to try to make it out, and I went on Find the Grave, and it looks like everyone else is struggling, but she has, the hour of my departure has come. I hear the sweet voice that calls me to my home. The race appointed me, I have run. The combats over this life is won. The witness is, not sure what the, yeah, blank. I can't even read it from here. My record is in the, yeah, I just can't make it out. You can see here, there's like a bunch of wore down section. It looks like it's snapped off there, so it probably wore down. But the reason I picked her headstone is I talk about more symbolism in my videos, and you can see here we have the Weeping Willow. And this was part of the 1800s. You see this on a lot of the 1800s headstones, and part of the Greek revival period, from my understanding. Typically, it represents sadness and the tears for a loved one that died. However, it can represent happiness and immortality. Other meanings include, in Christian tradition, refers to the Bible verse, "And ye shall take you on the first day of the boughs of godly trees, branches of the palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and the willows of the brook. And ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days." Psalms mentions, "By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we wept when we remember Zion. We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. For there they that carried us captive required of us song, and that they wasted us required of us mirth." I don't know what that is. "Sing us one of the songs of Zion." That was a tough verse to read for me. It also represents the Weeping Willow longevity. For instance, willows grow relatively quickly and are remarkably hardy, from what I read. They can lose a significant amount of branches due to pruning and storms, and provided their root system remains unharmed, they can just like fully regenerate it. A final mention was that it can represent resurrection of the soul, because willows can grow into new trees even after laying down on the ground, apparently. And there was a cool website I came across that explained that. If you're interested, I'll put it below. But yeah, real pretty headstone. And this is someone we come across during the tour that I didn't know about, and I wouldn't even recognize it as a Civil War vet headstone, because as we've seen with the other ones, they kind of have that erected one that's got that nice white marble look, but this one kind of reminds me of like the World War I and II ones. And this is of Private Orion Melvin Wood. He was born in 1846 in New York. Looks like he served with the Nebraska Cavalry. He was a private company H1, I don't know what H stands for, regiment during the Civil War. So reading his find engraved profile, looks like he died young in 1894 at the age of 47. No information, like I said, I just kind of discovered it during the tour, but our first Nebraskan. It's kind of neat. Alright, time for the tour. And here's that sign up front. Site of the South Yamhill Baptist Church, as we talked about during the video earlier. Let you guys read it for a little bit. It's right when you enter. And there is some pretty old trees here. Make our way to the cemetery. It's an outhouse. You need to do what you need to do. It's a little scary. I think I want to use it. And right up front when you walk in, there's the Websters, and there's one of the Civil War vets we talked about. Let's see what we got down here. Hoyt. That seems like a very important name in history. Hey, look. Goats. Like I said, I don't know if this is, what was this, Sarah and James farm. I think this might be it. There's quite a bit of a farm county going on out there. But yeah, I wish I had a map to verify. Enough of the goats. Let's go back to the cemetery. A lot of symbolism at the cemetery I'm seeing. And you guys will probably see it during the tour. Quiet overall. Claims it has a security camera on it, and okay. Usually when I see that posted several times over and over and over, reminding you you're on camera, it's like, are you sure? Because sure are letting me know a lot. I'm on camera. But there's the Weeping Willow again. That's the wife of Henry Warren. Henry Warren's right next to her. Seems to be a popular person. Pretty successful overall. Quite the story behind him. Check out who this is. No. 17 years old when she died. Oh, jeez. Got married young too. Is that what I read? Married too. Died at 17. Here's one with a lot of info. Born in Platte City, Missouri. Young. $48.58. Jeez, there's some young deaths here. Interesting one. 44 when they died. And again, the Weeping Willow. That seems to be the headstone of choice here. Symbolism. Ford. There's Barlett. We talked about the New Hampshire Civil War vet. I'm sorry, man. I wish I would have had more on what they did, but sometimes you miss stuff. Bones. Now that's a cool last name. There's a lot of them. There's some symbolism right there for you guys to enjoy. I don't know what this represents. Kind of looks like a burning candle, some type of Olympic torch looking thing. Wow. I don't know if we've ever seen anything like this before. That's really pretty. And Juanita Rose Bones. That's quite the headstone. Looks like an old style one. 1910. Looks like another child. There's another one. Baby boy Yoder. Jeez. I don't know if I've ever seen this many young ones yet. Gear cemeteries apparently supposed to have a lot of really young deaths as far as children and infants, but as we saw at that cemetery, it wasn't in the best shape and couldn't show you much there. Fortunately, this one's in great shape. There you go. I.J. Johnson. Cornelia Johnson. Really cool one right here I came across. It has like a bunch of symbols on them, but it's kind of cool to see the Detroit bronze, Detroit, Michigan stamp on there for Orange Hall Warren. I'm guessing that they're related to Henry Warren. 10 months old. Oh, jeez. Another child. Francis M. Warren. 19 years old. With, I think, what is a harp? You guys would know better. How old is this person? Eddie Warren. 4 years old. Jeez. With a little sheep on there. Well, today has been a downer. Jeez. You see a bad motorcycle accident. And I hope that girl's alright, man. She was hysterical. It was, I hope none of you have to deal with that ever, because that was hard to see, witness. And then I actually saw the guy that was driving off, so I slowed down my truck to just kind of get a good eye on him and, you know, ID his car, and, you know, got to be a witness and all that, and like, geez. And you come here, and I'm wondering about those two individuals at the gate. They've been there since I arrived. Seriously, as soon as I pulled in, like 2 minutes later, pulled right in. And then you see a bunch of children, headstones. A depressing day. Anyways, looks like we have a teacher here. Jean Ellen Anderson Thompson, math and English. Oh man. And here's another one. 5 years old. I don't know what that is. Looks like some type of bellflower to me. Real pretty headstone though. A lot of family plots I'm noticing. Wow, that was a hole. That hurt. James W., son of J.W. Gum. Looks like some lettering fell off there. 15 years old. Definitely a trend. And here's Chapman, that Civil War vet. I didn't have much information on him, sorry again, but once we got to find his headstone, we'll talk about him a little bit. Our little Bertie, another child, 10 months old. Jeez. Up on those cool headstones. Mary Brock Davis's family. They have a lot of symbols on them. I think you guys will enjoy it, but here's Mary. Classic Weeping Willow. The finger pointing up to God to indicate, I believe that's the hope, the going to heaven, maybe the intention. And two doves, I believe. But yeah, this headstone's pretty cool looking. Big one. Here's another young death, 39 years old, of Angie Davis. And way on the end, it's Lucinda, wife of John Kelly. I would have liked to know her story. And she was 28 when she died. I think there's a Levi Davis. And here's the Davises. Pretty popular here. Oh, this is cool looking. Look at that. It's like a crown with a cross. I haven't seen that yet. Of Plumber P Wood, is how you say that. Here also rests Martha A, wife. John Minty. Minty, that's a cool last name. Another baby. There's a little headstone. This is a baby. Oh, bones. Oh, maybe the baby's buried next to him. Maybe that's what it is indicating. Go to the other side of the cemetery. It's quite a bit to see here. Sorry if the tour's way too long. Sheltered and safe from sorrow. Yeah, that's what that says. There's the classic handshake. We talked about that at another cemetery, what that stands for. A couple meanings, actually. Oh, we have a wife of Reverend J.W. Oliver. Oliver must have been an important family. Big saying on the back. You guys can pause it if you'd like to read that. Hopefully it came in. It looks like a woman dying at the cross or crying. Oh man, I didn't see this one either. This is unique. I don't think we've seen one like that before. Usually it's the upright, kind of white marble looking headstones, but we're in Melvin Wood, private company, does it say H1? Regiment, Nebraska. I don't think we've seen Nebraska either. I'll try to look him up real quick and do like a little bit on him after the tour. Get on here. I just wanted to see this behemoth of a headstone. Jeez. I can't even make that out. Maybe the camera sees it. But quite the block. One looks like the sun rising with the Bible on top. We've seen that before. Oh, glad we're out of the sun. It's getting hot today. Can't make that one out. That one's really wore down. It's just kind of a hodgepodge over here. It's pretty unique. Looks like they poured concrete and then wrote it in. I think there used to be a headstone there. Not seeing like terrible vandalism, luckily. Oh, this one's cool. I can't make that out, but you could certainly make that out. Louis A. Bennett. Oh man, 22 years old. Oh, I wonder if he died in World War I, correct? Wasn't World War I around that time? Yeah. Bennett. Secretive little path there with hedges. There's someone down there, LAB. with a star on it. Oh, that's him. I think that's his original headstone LIB because you see the star on it. I'm assuming that stands for the armed forces back then. So that's cool. It's like someone made a giant headstone for him in remembrance later on. That's really cool. And there's Cone, who has kind of a pretty setting. What's this? Oh boy. Somebody out there can translate that. Oh, Woodman of the World headstone. Which, it's not the tree design we originally saw. Usually it's that tree stump. But not that one. Something different. Tree. Oh, there's a Mason Ox symbol. I think there was another Woodsman of the World over here. Uh-oh, 10% battery. So, I guess we better hurry it up. So, this one's really unique with the top of it. Young with a behemoth of a headstone. We have a pretty setting here. Baby Stoll. Clarabelle. Oh, Claire and Gerald. I wonder if they're married and that's their baby. But definitely a cool setting. Here we go. I wasn't paying attention. It came up on me. DC Small. Here rests a Woodman of the World. We talked about that. I don't know what this means. I meant to look that up, and I'm sure I will know after this video, but someone that watches my videos is like an expert with this stuff, so maybe they'll comment on what it is. They do a lot of translating and such, and I think they speak German too, so at least that's what I got. It's pretty pretty intelligent at that, where I am not, obviously. Alright. Almost done with the cemetery tour. I think the newer ones we start coming across. Oh, maybe I lied. There's a World War I vet. See an American flag. Stop. Don't know. Oh boy, what's that say? Gren Corner? Some type of picture of the woods. We have not seen that before, but I'm assuming that they served at one time. The same thing over here. That's neat. I wonder how old those guys are. They refer to this as the Sunset Edition up here, so they must be expanding. Take a quick stroll through. You never know what you're going to run into. Oh, World War II vet. Forever baseball fan. That's cool. Picture of a bird on top of the world. And a truck. I like the truck. headstone. Must have been a farmer. But I don't know if this is the diamond farm they were talking about when I talked earlier about those individuals that own the farm. Ooh, let's go out a little bit. I think they said it was diamond farm. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. A lot of cool little history bits here, and quite the drive to get out here. If you guys have any other recommendations for cemeteries to visit in Oregon or even Southern Washington, feel free to comment below. Hope you liked the video, and especially after seeing what I did this morning, please stay safe out there, and have a great one.